The crystalline halls of the Galactic Tribunal echoed with the melodic laughter of the assembled delegates. Ambassador Thexara of the Zeridian Empire adjusted her bioluminescent crest, still chuckling at the absurd display before her. The human delegation stood at the center of the vast chamber, their primitive cloth uniforms a stark contrast to the advanced biotech and quantum-forged armor of the other species. "Let me understand this correctly," Thexara's voice resonated through, the translation matrix dripping with condescension. "Your species claims territorial sovereignty over not just your birth system, but over 17 additional star systems. Systems that have been under consortium protection for millennia?" Ambassador Sarah Chen stood unwavering, her weathered face betraying no emotion despite the ridicule echoing through the chamber. Behind her, the rest of Earth's diplomatic team maintained their stoic composure. They had expected this reaction. "That is correct," Chen replied, her voice steady. "Humanity formally contests the consortium's authority over the Proxima, Wolf 359, Barnard Star, and 14 other systems within a 20-light-year radius of Sol. These systems fall within our established sphere of influence." The laughter intensified. Gorthak the Terrible, war chief of the Brutarian clans, slammed his massive fist against his floating platform, causing the entire structure to shudder. "Sphere of influence?" he roared. "You barely managed to crawl out of your gravity well 3 decades ago. The consortium has governed these systems since before your species discovered fire." Chancellor Vexini of the Synthetic Collective processed the claim with mechanical precision, her optical sensors analyzing the humans with clinical detachment. "Our records indicate that humanity possesses exactly 47 functional spacecraft, none exceeding Class II designation. Your total military consists of approximately 2 million personnel across 3 barely inhabited colonies. How do you propose to enforce such an ambitious territorial claim?" Chen's aide, Lieutenant Commander Torres, stepped forward with a data pad. "We have compiled extensive documentation of our territorial markers, resource extraction operations, and defensive installations throughout these systems. All were established according to standard galactic colonization protocols." "Territorial markers?" High Arbiter Zulmoth's tentacles writhed in amusement. The ancient cephalopod had overseen the tribunal for over 4 centuries and had never heard such audacity. Young species placing a metal plaque on an asteroid does not constitute territorial control. The consortium maintains active mining operations, trade routes, and defensive fleets throughout those systems. Your presence is negligible. The chamber fell silent as Chen reached into her uniform and withdrew a small, innocuous device. She placed it on the speaker's podium and activated it. A holographic star chart materialized above the assembly, showing the disputed systems in question. "You are correct that our presence has been subtle," Chen said, her voice carrying a new edge. "We learned early that survival often depends on being underestimated." She pressed another control. The holographic display zoomed in on the Wolf 359 system, revealing what appeared to be a routine asteroid field. Then the view shifted, revealing massive geometric structures hidden within the rocky debris, shipyards, defensive platforms, and sleek vessels that dwarfed anything in the consortium's database. "Impossible," whispered Thexara, her crest dimming. "Our long-range sensors would have detected." "Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect," Chen interrupted. The hologram shifted again, showing similar hidden installations in system after system. "Humanity spent the last 30 years doing what we do best, adapting, innovating, and preparing." The display now showed the true scope of human expansion. Not the handful of colonies the consortium knew about, but dozens of hidden outposts, mining operations disguised as natural phenomena, and defensive networks that turned entire asteroid belts into fortified positions. Chancellor Vexini's optical sensors whirred as she processed the implications. The resource expenditure required for such construction would be astronomical. "Our economic models indicate it should be impossible for your species to—" "Your economic models assume we play by your rules," Torres interjected, unable to contain his pride. "We don't strip mine planets and move on. We don't rely on slave labor or automated systems that think for us. Every human settlement becomes a self-sustaining industrial base within 5 years. We build to last and we build to hide. High Arbiter Zulmoth's tentacles had gone rigid. Even if your claims of hidden infrastructure are accurate, the consortium maintains over 2,000 capital ships across those systems. Your 47 vessels cannot possibly... Chen smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. 47 vessels that you know about. The lights in the chamber dimmed as emergency klaxons began to wail. A massive Brutarian security officer rushed to Gorthak's platform, whispering urgently in his ear. The war chief's scarred face went pale. "What is the meaning of this?" Zulmoth demanded. Gorthak stood slowly, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. Long-range sensors are detecting massive gravimetric distortions throughout the disputed systems. Estimated 15,000 vessels emerging from stealth configurations. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, demanding explanations, calling for their fleets, questioning their sensor networks. Through it all, the human delegation remained calm. 15,000 combat vessels, Chen announced, her voice cutting through the pandemonium. Each one crewed by humans who've spent their entire lives in those systems, who know every asteroid, every gravitational anomaly, every tactical advantage. Each one equipped with technology you've never seen because we didn't buy it or steal. We built it. Thexara's bioluminescent crest flashed in panic. This is an act of war. The consortium will recognize our territorial claims, Chen said firmly, because the alternative is learning why a species that conquered its own world through superior firepower might have strong opinions about uninvited guests in their neighborhood. She gathered her datapad and turned toward the chamber's exit. You have 72 hours to begin withdrawing your forces from human space. We've prepared comprehensive transition plans to minimize disruption to existing trade routes and civilian populations. We're not conquerors, but we won't be colonized. As the human delegation filed out, the chamber remained in stunned silence. Finally, High Arbiter Zulmoth spoke, his ancient voice heavy with resignation. Perhaps we should reconsider the territorial dispute resolution protocols. Schedule a recess while we assess the situation. Outside the tribunal, Chen looked up at the alien sky where the first human patrol ships were already visible as distant stars, waiting patiently for her signal. Humanity had spent 3 decades being underestimated, and they had made every day count. The galaxy was about to learn that the species that had turned a small blue planet into their launch pad for the stars had no intention of asking permission to claim their place among them.